and welcome to the latest episode of The Hex with Armand Kafai, John Arnold, Daniel Robertson. Before we get started, I always forget, please make sure to like this video if you're watching. Go ahead and subscribe to The Hex if you have not already. Of course, follow John Arnold at John Arnold FC on YouTube and TikTok, and at Arnold, John on Twitter. I think I forget, and Blue Sky. Right. And Blue Sky. Is that the right?
I don't even know.
Yeah, and
I think it's John Arnold
FC. Yeah.
Yes, and then Armand.
You can find me.
Footy Analytics Musings on Substack, and at Armand Kafai everywhere else. So, guys, lots of MLS this week. Let's get right into it. Guys, it was a busy weekend of MLS again. I kind of took the weekend off and caught up with it this afternoon. Armand, I know you were pretty locked in. Let's go MLS winner of the weekend like we typically do. 4 weeks left in the season. Who was your winner of the weekend?
Well, again, I feel like we've mentioned this team quite a bit recently. It's FC Dallas. They pulled off a 3-1 victory over the Colorado Rapids in a really just dominating fashion. I mean, they scored early. Colorado kind of had some moments where they had the ball for a bit, but Dallas was able to, capitalize on the mistakes that Colorado were making, especially deep on in the second half. I mean, there was multiple moments where Petter Musa, Logan Farrington had opportunities to score. Anderson Julio as well. It could have been 4 or 5-1. I think 3-1 is actually very generous to the scoreline. And when you look at a team like Dallas, ever since they got rid of Lucho Acosta, they haven't lost a game. Plain and simply. I think part of that is also because their schedule has gotten a lot easier too relative to what it has been. They'd played teams before it, such as Minnesota, LAFC, San Diego before. All that now you're getting kind of the bottom of the barrel MLS teams like St. Louis, Portland, which is kind of in the race.
I'll play them again soon.
Colorado, San Jose. But they're doing what they weren't doing early on. They're beating the teams that they should be beating, and they weren't doing that early on this season. They look a lot better. They look a lot more vibrant, confident in play. Eric Quill has done something really interesting to where the team almost shifts to almost a back four with Shaq Moore as almost a center back, but then shifting to a right back when they're in possession, allowing Bernie Kamungo to go really up forward and getting him involved as well. And he's been pretty good as well in this new, I guess, weird wing-back position that he's been playing. So overall, Dallas, a huge 6-pointer they won. They have another one at Portland, and then they play a home-and-home against the Galaxy before finishing off against Vancouver, a team that I think they're going to be in the play-in, but again,
do you think
the
they
Galaxy
can make the playoffs?
Are a little bit of an unknown.
Do you think they can make the playoffs? Not the play-in, but the top 8?
I'm not sure about the playoffs. I think Portland away is very difficult, and I think the Galaxy, while they have been bad, have been showing signs of they're an above-average team recently. And then you go at the Whitecaps, who they're going to be playing for Supporters' Shield, which I know we're going to talk about later on the pod. So I don't see them as a playoff team. I can see them getting as an away play-in team in that 9 spot.
John, do you think Dallas can make the top 8?
I mean, they can, but I don't think they will.
Who do you got?
In the top 8 or from my winner of the weekend?
Give me your top. Give me your top 8, 1 through 8, right now.
I don't know. Last week we started with the battle for 9th. You guys know about the unofficial football world championships?
No.
This is where you trace back for the very first international, and you say, like boxing, that like if England beats Scotland in the first game, they're the champ. So the current champion is Kosovo. Congrats. Not even recognized as a country by some places, but they beat Sweden in September. Why do I bring this up? Last week, my winner of the weekend was Charlotte FC. This week, they get beat by NYCFC, my new winner of the weekend.
All right, I like it.
Not just because they beat Charlotte, although it was an impressive win streak that they ended, but also the fact that NYCFC is sitting in 4th right behind Charlotte. They're actually level on points, just a little bit of a tie. Well, there's a tiebreaker with the wins tiebreaker, but they have a game in hand. We think they might get jumped by another team, but if you finish top 4 in the conference, I think you're feeling pretty good about your opportunities. Yeah. And with this victory, I think they have a really good opportunity to, they now play that team with a bunch of game in hands, Inter Miami during the week, then it's Hudson River. It's not an easy schedule at all, but they've shown they can beat some of these tough teams. So NYCFC, I think, we always talk about a team that gets hot at the right time. They've won their last 3. They lost to DC United, and they had won the previous 2 before that, including a game against FC Cincinnati. So I'm really not sure how that, DC game factored in there, but I'm willing to say it's an anomaly, it's a weird one, and put some confidence in the Pigeons.
And as the noted analytics guy of the show myself,
Right.
I will say as well, the XG, they're killing teams on XG right now. Like their wins are not lucky, and man, they're scoring goals. That guy they signed from Spain, Nico, like it feels like he's kind of that last piece to the puzzle in a lot of ways, and they're good in every spot that you want to be good, like at key positions in MLS.
And you haven't been hearing about them, like if you
they've been flying under the radar. I don't think anyone really
flying under the radar.
Well, pigeons don't fly very high, and radar is, that's not what it's designed for. But I do think this is a team that. Kind of like the year, I don't think it's going to be that direct, but kind of like the year they won MLS Cup, where you're like, yeah, they're fine. And then all of a sudden, it's like, they're left.
Where's the weakness? And yeah, I'm going to go not only winner of the weekend, but winner of the last week. You got to go down 35. You got to go to the Verde in Austin, because hosting a championship is something that not a lot of teams ever get to do. And not only are they probably almost for sure now going to host a playoff game, at least in the playoffs, after beating Seattle, which is no small feat. They got a 94th minute stoppage time goal to beat Seattle on Sunday Night Soccer. But that was coming home from Minnesota, where they got a 120th minute goal, the latest goal scored in team history, to get a Open Cup home final. And that is so significant, I think, for the organization, for what Nico Estevez is building there. And I think at this point, you have to look at this season, unless there's just a total collapse, as an overwhelming success for Austin, when it was looking like through the first 10 games, it wasn't looking that way. So I got to go to Austin for my winner of the week.
And for the Colt winner, it's CJ Fodry, right? This guy just continuously is getting involved. Scored the game winner in the Open Cup. Had the assist to Mirto Azuni on the goal against Seattle. I mean, this guy is just turning into a cult hero over there in Austin, John.
But they needed someone to do that, right?
Yep.
Those big money players weren't doing it. Brandon Vasquez gets injured, and you just need those contributions from someone else. We talk about this all the time, where sort of how do you separate yourself from that pack? Sometimes it just takes a guy like that getting hot. Can he sustain it? That's a question for the future, but in the present right now, yeah, he looks great, and they've needed every one of his contributions basically the last month.
So in our winners of the weekend, we didn't talk actually about many of the big names, because it was a lot of those kind of lower teams maybe that made a statement. But the MVP race right now, boy, there were some guys making a statement this weekend. And I think if you talk about the MVP race, there's probably 5 names that are in the mix, right? There's Messi, there's Ojeda, there's Bouanga, there's Evander, and then who's
Dreyer.
And Dreyer. Yep. Those were kind of the 5. Well, Messi had 2 goals this weekend. Ojeda had 2 goals this weekend. Bouanga had 3 goals, and Evander had 2 assists. So I think it's the closest race for MVP that we've seen in a long time, John. If you were going to say right now, who's your MVP, who are you getting it?
I'm picking Dreyer with an asterisk.
Wow.
Here's the asterisk. You just mentioned Messi, who's had a great weekend and has how many more games left than everyone else?
Yeah. 2 more.
So I think I'll end up voting for Lionel Messi, like I did last year. But I think Dreyer, if I had to vote today, Dreyer has more games, Dreyer has a bigger body of work, and I think it's hard because we're always in this debate in American sports about, well, who's the most valuable player? Maybe Ojeda in the traditional definition of like which team is the worst if you take him out.
Okay.
I think Miami, look, like they haven't been as good without Messi as they were last year, but I think they have enough stars to kind of cover the gaps. With Dreyer, maybe I'm kind of hurting myself because I think you still have Chucky and, of course, the midfield. But to me, he's been such a revelation. He's been so important to a team that's been so good. In the first year, the challenge of kind of setting a culture, setting a play style, setting whatever tone you want to set, he's been that guy. And I truly just think when you look at his counting stats, when you look at his underlying numbers, I think he's kind of getting forgotten in this race. The other players have all been excellent. You're absolutely right. Any of those guys, I think, are totally justifiable positions. And like I said, I think the asterisk means I'm probably not going to end up voting for my current pick. But if it's today, I would go dry.
And that's what makes it so fascinating, is because I think it truly is. We have to wait and see until all the ballots are counted in this one. This is not one where you can kind of call the race early. And for me, I said something similar, John, in the sense of if Miami finishes at the top of the Supporter Shield, at the top of the East at the end of the season, I don't see how you can take it from Messi. And so he has these 2 extra games to make his case that we'll all be watching, because they're all going to be huge games. For me right now, though, if I had to cast my ballot today, it would go to Evander, because the thing I was looking at was, and this is a little bit binary, but Evander has 29 goals plus assists. Messi has 32. Dreyer has 31. Evander's next with 29. However, FC Cincinnati only has 47 goals scored this season. So that means Evander, he is either scoring or assisting on like 70% of their goals. That is about as MVP as it gets to me. If you take him out, I think Cincinnati is crumbling. But again, let's see what happens, because if Cincinnati has a few bad games to end the season, they drop down the table. What does it mean if he gets those goals and they finish in 4th or 5th place, Armand?
Purely for me, MVP-wise, I have to agree with you, Daniel. I would go Evander, because how many times have we said Evander scored this game-winning goal for Cincinnati? We say it, I feel like we almost say it every week, a game-winning assist. And again, we look at the advanced metrics. We say the expected goal difference is bad, etc. Evander wipes out all of that stuff if you look at it really carefully. Sure. His expected goals are 7. He has 15 goals. Like, he single-handedly wipes them with his great strikes, his great playmaking. And we're talking about most valuable player. Let's just assume maybe that I don't think MLS voters will have voter fatigue. John doesn't seem like he'll have voter fatigue. But when it comes down to it, like, if it's Messi is obviously, I think, on his own planet, right? Like, it's really hard for me. Like, if I was looking at this, say I wouldn't vote for Messi, but Evander has done so much throughout this to just carry Cincinnati to the 2nd seed. Without Evander, if maybe you threw in a guy like Lucho Acosta in there right now or something, I think you're seeing Cincinnati out of the Supporters Shield race, maybe in like a 5th or 6th situation. But I just love what Evander's done. I think last year he was also excellent with Portland, and he was damn near MVP for me in Portland. But now, especially with a lot better standing, I like Evander.
It is kind of funny, though, to think about, because I do think Cincinnati is the easiest team to like game plan out, though, because if you stop Evander, like, you kind of stop the team. Him? But if you do that with other teams, like, there's a lot more options.
That's why. And again, like, maybe I'm sort of working against my own argument, because it's like, oh, well, the San Diego has Chucky, and that's why Bouanga for me falls a little short. He's been absolutely superb in the last month, but before Son arrived, even though he was still playing well, I think we were like, when's Bouanga going to get into that different gear? And sometimes he did. And, the game against Club America, he totally did. He hasn't had a bad year by any stretch. He's had an amazing year. But I think that's one reason it's a lot of fun this year to talk about even the MVP race. Whereas in previous seasons, even last year, it was like, well, Messi hasn't played. It's like, okay, this year it really seems like a race to me.
Just as tight as the MVP race, the Supporter Shield race, with 4 weeks left in the season, or at least 4 match day weeks left, and there's kind of like there's that one international break where like some teams are playing and some aren't, which is going to make things kind of weird. But it couldn't really be tighter in the Supporter Shield race as well. You've got Philly on top by 2 points, but if you take points per game into it, Vancouver right behind them, Miami right behind them. So it's very, very tight right now. We want to talk about in this one, we're going to plant our flag, make a prediction. We'll revisit this in a month. Who is going to win the Supporter Shield, John Arnold?
I knew you were going to come to me first, and I totally forgot that we were supposed to do this question. Hold on 1 second. What's the Whitecaps schedule look like? Give me the Whitecaps.
So here's the math behind it, right? The first thing you got to look at is math. I think it's 66 points. Because
I was going to say 65 or 66.
You have Philadelphia on 60.
You don't think Philly can get there with, okay, 2 tough games down the end. This is fun, listeners. I hope you can enjoy figuring out this with me.
It is kind of fun, though. Okay, well, so I'll start out with mine. I picked Philadelphia because I think they can get it done. I think that 66 points is what's needed. Here's what they have left. Away to DC United, home to NYCFC, away to Charlotte. So Look, the DC United game. Granted, we did see them pull off a very random win.
Yeah, but
over
also the last
NYCFC.
time Philly went on the road for a league game, they lost 7-0. And the last time they went on the road for a cup game, they lost 3-1. So
They did, but here's what I'm looking at. If they can win one of those next two games, they will have 2 weeks to prepare for the road game against Charlotte to end the season to win the Supporter Shield. Do I think they would win that game? I do think they would win that game. So I'm going Philadelphia. But, what do you think, John? Have you figured it out yet?
Wait, so is Vancouver crazy? Because right now they're sitting on 55 points from 29 matches played, right? And so their rest of their schedule, they host Portland. They do have the Canadian Championship coming up. They go to Seattle right before the Canadian Championship, which, that Canadian Championship is really valuable for CCC.
Scheduled loss.
But then they host San Jose. They go to Orlando. Jeez, that's a trip.
Exactly.
And then they host Dallas.
Exactly. So can they get to 66? Can they get, they would need 11
They need
points?
11 more
12?
points from one.
I don't know. Armand.
3 more home games, 9.
We'll let John continue to do the math.
Win at home, draw on the road, they're fine. Give me Vancouver.
All right.
I've never been more sure about something in my life.
When I look at Philadelphia's schedule, I see at DC, which DC hasn't looked that bad recently. I don't know what it is. Against Miami, they put up a fight, which that surprised the hell out of me. Then New York City, and then at Charlotte. And that at Charlotte game, that game is going to be tough because there's going to be definitely seeding involved for Charlotte in some capacity, especially on road, on turf, etc. Give me FC Cincinnati. Again, it's going to be really funny when this team defies the analytics continuously. But Orlando, that's going to be a tough game, but I think they can pull it off. At Red Bull, which Red Bull's looked really rough lately, and then at home against Montreal. To me, I like them. And again, they have my MVP candidate in Evander. They're getting together at the right time. I think they can pull off these victories. And yes, they look clumsy at times, but I think they can pull it off. I think Philadelphia, I think there's going to be one point where they stumble, and I want to say it's going to be that Charlotte game where they stumble.
I think, but here's the thing. You throw out Red Bulls like, oh, that's an easy game. They've allowed 3 goals in their last 5 games. I don't think Cincinnati's going to be able to score on the Red Bulls. Well,
they don't need to. They win half their games 1-0 anyway.
Okay, but if Cincinnati gets to 4 points, let's say Cincinnati gets to 65. Well, I think Vancouver could get 11 points. I think it's going to be either Vancouver or Philadelphia. I don't think Cincinnati factors into it.
I said Cincinnati at the start of the season, I think, and I think you guys made fun of me, but we can fact check that later.
I had Cincinnati in the MLS Cup. So
that's not the Supporter Shield.
It's not a bad pick, though. All right, so I didn't want to call this out on the last segment because it would have totally killed this segment. But there was a team we didn't mention in the Supporter Shield race that still has plenty to discuss. And what we're going to do in the next 2 segments, like last week we kind of picked contender or pretender. Let's say this or that. Let's call these next 2
this
segments.
Or that.
This or that, okay?
These are getting worse instead of better, unfortunately. But
it's getting worse. We're going to look at 2 different teams and say which one would you rather be a fan of at this point in the season going to the end. And we're going to look at the East first. So Philadelphia leads the Supporter Shield race, but Miami lurks 8 points back with 3 games in hand. Armand, would you rather be a fan of Miami or Philadelphia at this point in the season?
Philadelphia, because you have all those games in hand.
Oh!
Yeah, you have all those games in hand, but they're so condensed. You're playing literally the rest of the season Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. You're probably not gonna. Are you gonna have Messi during the international break that they have? I'm not sure if you're gonna have him for that break. He might be away for Argentina. We're not. That's the one thing that completely side tangent. I think it's hilarious.
Friendlies against Venezuela and Puerto Rico. I mean, he could go.
There's no.
I mean, if he's
stay.
dedicated,
he's got to stay.
But like the fact that there's an international break in the middle of playoff race Supporter Shield is hilarious. I mean, LAFC will probably not have. Well, I guess they will have Son, maybe not, or Bouanga either in their game against Austin, and that's going to be brutal for them. I think probably Austin won't have a Zuni, so that's going to be tough for them as well. But if you look at it, Philadelphia, they have 3 games, just Just win
Okay,
those.
but in November,
With 6 games?
am I in November though? Do I care if I'm Philadelphia or Miami? I would much rather be a fan of Miami, guys. You got to take the team
100%.
that has Messi, right? Like Miami has 6 games left. Away to NYCFC, difficult. Toronto FC, Chicago, New England, Atlanta, Nashville. They very well could run the board.
It's not even about the question is would you rather be a fan of, not who has the easier lead in. I'd rather be a fan of Miami. The weather's starting to get gnarly up there.
Okay, here we go.
And everything's looking good. No hurricanes so far this season in Miami. Except for the college football, am I right? Wow, the defense is looking good. Not as good as Texas Tech.
Did you see Michael Irvin, by the way, doing like the
Yes, I did. He almost broke that crank. What is that? I don't know. I'm a fan.
He's
of
always
Miami,
on drugs.
not of the U of Miami. Okay, and allegedly in there. No, I'm just saying that from a fan experience point, would you rather watch a team that has been good, but at best let's call them efficient, or would you rather watch a team that plays with Lionel Messi at the centerpiece? I think they play more fun soccer. I think they're just a more interesting team. They look cooler. The weather's nicer. Give me Inter Miami.
I'd rather see a team
fan
win.
Perspective every day. Okay.
I'd rather see them win and be top of the Supporters' Shield.
Who do you think has more trophies at the end of the year, Armand? Do you think Philly or Miami is more likely to take a trophy home this year?
Neither. I wouldn't have any of them. Like winning any trophies.
Wow. So you're on the FC Cincinnati train.
I don't believe in Philadelphia in terms of their playoffs style.
Sure.
And when it comes to Miami, weird shit just happens to them. Like that against Atlanta, when they got game planned out. Like I feel like again, you have a team set up and try to game plan them out, and they've kind of showed their age as well too. I mean, Busquets announced he's going to retire at the end of a year, and look, I think you're going to see it build up at some point.
I disagree because there's no better get right for Miami than Chicago, New England, Atlanta at home.
You could have said that about DC, you could have said that about the DC game, and that game ended up being very close.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, okay, look, you're going to raise your blood pressure maybe, but if you're a fan, I can offer you, hey, midweek they won 3-1 against a team that they were so mad about the Leagues Cup final and lost. Oh, wow, that felt great. Then, okay, it's a fun game, and yeah, they struggle with DC. Oh, a late goal that made it, a couple late goals, but okay, they win 3-2. Games with goals are more fun, especially when you're not giving up 7 of them on the road like Philly did the other week.
Going out west, this one is going to be fun. San Diego dropped points in Atlanta, and that opened the door for Vancouver and LAFC. They sit 2 and 7 points back of San Diego with 2 games in hand. LAFC, probably the most fun team in MLS. There's a lot of fun teams in MLS to watch right now, by the way. Like this, as I was catching up, I was like, damn, I need to lock in for this last month.
You need to lock in a little bit more.
I do.
Yeah, we've been meaning to talk to you about that.
Yeah. So Vancouver or LAFC? Would you rather, it's Oktoberfest right now, would you rather take the schnitzel with Thomas Muller in Vancouver, or would you rather have a hashtag, what do they eat in Gabon?
Oh, I thought you were going to say sun, which would be way easier.
No, I was going to take tacos versus K-pop or something like that. What mariachi?
Tacos versus sushi.
Hashtag mariachi versus
Japan.
K-pop. Yeah. That was the second game. Hashtag mariachi versus K-pop. Would you rather be Vancouver or LAFC right now, John?
LAFC, man. It's got to be LAFC. The arrival of Son has been phenomenal. He's been really, really good. He seems to have taken Bouanga to an even higher level. Whatever that guy's eating, whatever he's doing to get right with the jet lag and all that stuff, I think is totally working. I put it in the chat, but he's scored 3 hat tricks in his last 4 games between club and country. And a lot of that is because of the good vibes that are going with Son. He scored his first goal in BMO Stadium, whatever it's called now. And, fans are loving it, man. People are really excited. It seems like a great vibe. I think it's true of Vancouver as well. And I think Muller gives us new energy where the CCC run is kind of a distant memory. Oh, that was bad at the end. But, hey, we got a new shot at this other trophy and then another trophy. So I'm not saying it's bad vibes at either. But I think when you look at what LAFC is doing, it just seems like a lot of fun right now. And for me, that's why I'd rather put on that black and gold. Carlos Vela in the house, too. That was cool.
That is cool.
That was cool. They had that little tifo for him too, from the supporters, and Son actually went up to him and talked to him before the game, and it was I think it was a really cool moment. For me, it's LAFC too, guys, because again, LAFC with Son, it's almost like a glimpse into the future what MLS will be. Once they get rid of these spending caps, once they get rid of all of this like BS that are doing with the salary cap being so low, etc. Players like Son are going to be the normal in MLS. I feel like the massive transfer fees that you'll pay, the massive salaries. These guys are people want to come to people are going to want to come to MLS, and what you're seeing is a player that is incredible, doing incredible things for LFC. I was having so much fun watching them play in the 4-1 victory. And yes, they had some couple of moments where they're struggling to acclimate, but I mean, the chemistry between Son and Bouanga is amazing. I mean, have we seen it like that in MLS? I don't think we've seen anything like this in MLS so far.
What about Almiron Joseph?
Almiron Joseph is definitely that's a great shout.
I think they're better.
But also an equally cool Selly where they're doing the Euro step with the shot. I love that. But guys, you're missing the boat here. Okay, yeah, if
missing
they
the
play
ferry?
You're missing the ferry. The Bainbridge or the ferry from Vancouver to Seattle. If they play RSL, San Jose, and FC Dallas, and the Revolution in the playoffs, yeah, LAFC's taking home the title. They lost to San Diego FC when they played them a few weeks ago.
They probably should have won, though, man.
Who else does LAFC
If you watch back that game, I think LAFC outplayed San Diego.
Sure. Well, and you know what? They're going to keep doing it because they play St. Louis, Atlanta, Toronto, Austin, and Colorado to end the season. They are going to be hot as hell. But I got to stick with Vancouver because what Vancouver did this weekend is the thing that I think we're all a little skeptical about. Can they go to random road places, do exactly what they should do, which is step on their throat and win the game by a shutout? And they beat Sporting Kansas City 2-0. They beat Philadelphia 7-0. You want to talk about fun? Who's more fun right now than Vancouver with every single piece they have? And by the way, this guy, Ocampos, that they've got flying in from outside back, he's coming up scoring goals now. There's no one having more fun than the Vancouver Whitecaps with Thomas Muller right in the middle of it all. Give me Vancouver. I would much rather be a fan of them because they are going to they do have a tougher road in. I think they do have enough points to stay above LAFC, which, by the way, when you want to talk about every point matters, like they're probably going to finish like 3 points above LAFC. And I think that home field advantage is going to be so huge. Give me Vancouver. Wrapping it up, let's take one quick trip south of the border because we talked about on the last show how electric that Monterrey Club America game would potentially be with Anthony Martial joining Monterrey. And John, this game delivered, man. I was watching the highlights of it, and this was everything that was great about Liga MX. Maybe just missing a little bit of like shithousery. There was no controversial red cards.
Somewhat straightforward, right?
Right. It was just like
also nice, I guess.
Good game from both teams where Monterrey up 2-0 at halftime. Club America, 2 goals in the last 10 minutes to get a 2-2 draw. Who should be the happier fan base coming out of this game?
Oh, it's undoubtedly America. This is one of those draws that feels like a win for the team that came back. And I think for America, they don't get the 3 points, but after losing the Clásico Nacional last weekend against Chivas, they needed a bounce back. And I was concerned for America because they were missing Álvaro Fidalgo, their do-it-all midfielder. But then he recovered. They said during the week, he's probably not going to make it on Saturday. He recovered during the week, comes in at the half, and put one pass wrong, a long pass. But otherwise, I think he was 46 of 47 or 48 of 49. Just an absurd day, puts a shot on target, creates some chances. It wasn't that he didn't score the goals. He didn't assist either of the goals, but his presence, the way he runs the midfield, the way that he helps both the defense and the attack is so critical. America takes another injury during the game, but at the same time, if Fidalgo's healthy, Zendejas is healthy, and someone is able to finish, because Henry Martin is injured and they didn't get great showings necessarily from their forwards who were in for him, but as long as someone can finish, you have hope that you can contend for the title, and that's what America needs to do.
And if Mele hadn't had a blinder in the second half in goal, I think Club America would have won that game. I'm wondering if Andre Jardine, you mentioned they were kind of keeping his injury status a little bit up in the air. I wonder if he's learning from like SEC schools in college football and like hiding injuries from players. Armand, did you get a chance to check out kind of the highlights of this game? I mean,
I watched the first half and a little bit of the second half before I fell asleep because
it was late.
I was tired. It was a 10 p.m. kickoff local, or in Dallas at least. So when I watched that game again, America, the injury was nasty, John. Like his that just a bad plant. I mean,
he's done.
He's done for
Roberto Espinosa. Yeah, but they have cover.
Yeah, that was a nasty injury. But overall, when Monterrey jumped out to a 2-0 lead, America. They were progressing the ball pretty well, but they just couldn't get like a final product into there. And then, as John said, once they put in Fidalgo, from what I saw, like again, it just changed the game. And I know, John, you wrote about it in your newsletter. Is there any chance that that Mexico could call him up?
He's been a Mexican citizen since December of last year. He'll hit the 5-year mark and have that FIFA eligibility next year. But it kind of seems like he's not all that interested, and it doesn't seem like Javier Aguirre is all that desperate to call him in. Aguirre is old school. He's former coach of Rayados and several other teams. But I think that he, being Mexican and kind of just being so proud of that, I think he maybe views the naturalizados in a different way than some of the previous Mexico managers have, especially the foreign Mexico managers, Tata Martino. Although I say that, he calls in Rayados forward Herman Berterame. We'll see if Berterame keeps his starting place, because Anthony Martial did make his debut late in that game. Had like a crazy trick where he got into the box, and it was like, thought he gotten fouled, and then he turned out to be offside, and it didn't matter. So, you talk about a game where Anthony Martial is coming on late, Alan Saint-Maximin started from the beginning and played really well for America. You got Fidalgo, this sort of under the radar potential World Cup player. There's just a lot going on in Liga MX right now that's a lot of fun. And again, just like I think I said last week, just because MLS is, if you want to put their growth on a hockey stick curve, that doesn't mean that Liga MX can't be going the same direction. And, there was a report in the Financial Times over the weekend that backed up something that I've reported sort of more quietly. Those Apollo Global talks about the private investment that wanted to come in and put money into Liga MX in exchange for shares of the league or percentage of the league. Those talks never ended. That's definitely still a possibility. And as you look at, more and more foreign ownership coming in with the American-based group, the Baqueretero, it really seems like this league, it could be bound for business success as well as the kind of sporting success and cultural success that it's enjoyed.
Yeah, a really fun weekend. I mean, you watch a game like that, there's nothing not to like about it. It was fantastic. And yeah, both leagues headed towards exciting finishes to the season. Well, guys, that'll wrap us up for the week. We'll have another exciting week of MLS to look at. U20 World Cup starts this weekend. Mexico plays Brazil on Sunday. That's going to be an interesting one. So a few different things to keep our eyes on. And we will be sure to talk about it next week. Thanks for listening to The Hex.